Hey guys, how's it going? This is Ryan and Haley. We decided to partner up for our week 3 assignment, talking about some of our takeaways from our talk on communication and verbal, nonverbal, positive, negative, stuff like that. So Haley, what do you think your biggest takeaway from our class on Tuesday?
Yeah, so on Tuesday, the thing that really stuck with me most was when Holly was bringing up ways that people on her team pretty much battled issues with communication that they have. So one way that she said was that someone on her team actually has something on her desk that its sole purpose is to remind her to not do those things. So like whether it be like speaking slower or something like that, for me, my biggest issue is my interpersonal skills.
Mm-hmm.
So often on my team, like I have like the blankest face ever. So so a lot of the newer people on my team, it kind of turns them off because they're like, oh, I don't want to talk to her. I don't want to ask her a question. Like they'll go to whoever's more open and obviously wanting to talk.
Yeah.
So for a lot of the older people on my team, like they know that doesn't mean anything. Like that's just how I am.
Yeah.
So I know for me, I would love to be able to have something on my desk that's specifically just to help me to remember to smile.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like not only will it help me have better conversations on the phone, but it'll help the people on my team realize that, hey, I do want to talk to you.
Yeah, no, I get that. I really like that as well, because I think just like we talked about, like knowing your weaknesses is like a huge thing because it prepares you to kind of like get over that or move past your weaknesses. I know for me, like one of my biggest weaknesses with communication is I can kind of just space out and distance myself from a conversation and just be kind of like, and continue typing or doing whatever I'm doing, and not actually hear anything that anyone's saying to me.
Yeah.
And I actually kind of do have something on my desk that I use to help me remember to focus. I'm super into, you may know this, but I'm super into like Rubik's Cubes and puzzles, and I do them all the time for fun. But I have a Rubik's Cube on my desk because they do like take concentration and focus. And so like if I notice myself drifting and see it on my desk, I'll be like, oh, focus on the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So I totally get that. Knowing your weaknesses, knowing how to combat them and overcome them is great. I think my biggest takeaway though was really the importance of our nonverbal communication. I think so often we non-verbally communicate without even realizing it. Like we do it all the time. And obviously since we do it all the time, it's like, oh, really, that was your most important takeaway. But it's like, again, it's something you don't really think about. I never really thought about it too much until Tuesday. But, our nonverbal communication is so important because you can say something and it can mean something completely different based upon how your body language is, your facial expressions are, your tone of voice. If my friend could call me and I could be like, yeah, dude, I'm totally excited to come hang out. That's going to be awesome. Or my friend can call me and I can be like, yeah, I'm totally excited to come hang out. I'll see you later. Totally different meanings in that statement. And so I never really thought about it. So I think it's so important even to the point that like the actions that we express with our bodies are sometimes even more important than the content of our speech. And I think that's really important to remember, even especially for like us as admissions counselors, we're on the phone all day. And it's really easy to get like just caught up in the monotony of phone call after phone call after phone call. But, keeping that positive body language and attitude is so important for every single phone call. And I think that's something we, forget.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you. I think much too often, most of our job is just us speaking on the phone.
Yeah.
So for us, what's most important is what is coming out of our mouths.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas for our jobs, in order for us to be the most effective we can be, we really have to think of the two together.
Yeah.
And be just as effective with our body language as we are with what we're actually saying outside of our mouths.
For sure. Yeah. And I know like this was something that we both kind of talked about a little bit as we were preparing for this. And we found it really interesting that not only is body language important to what we're saying, but it's super important because you can actually hear it. And that's something that I think both of us kind of, it stuck with both of us when we were talking, when we talked about how you can hear body language. And as people that are on the phones all day, this becomes even that much more important. Because if our body language is bad, we may think like, yo, we're in our cubicles, like they can't see me, but they can really hear it. And because of this, we thought we would do a cool, fun little activity. Do you want to explain the activity?
Yeah, so one of us is going to step out of the room, and we're going to call the other and kind of play out what the beginning steps of our admissions conversation would look like, to kind of give an idea of body language while we're on the phones with people.
Yeah, and then the person that stays here is going to pick kind of like a body language / emotion to answer the phone and talk with. And when the other person thinks they've got it, they're going to come back and be like, try to guess what emotion or attitude that person had on the phone. So,
yeah.
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go step out.
Cool. So she is going to give me a call. I'm going to be aggravated. I'm going to be kind of upset, aggravated, stressed. Thank you for calling Regent University's Office of Admissions. Our calls are recorded to make sure you receive great service and information today. This is Ryan speaking. Who is this? Criminal justice. Yeah, absolutely. What were you looking to learn about criminal justice? Why are you interested in that? Okay, you're looking to be a cop. Cool. Well, I mean, this degree is definitely what you're looking to do. It kind of prepares you to join the police academy, and that's what you would then need if you're looking to be a police officer. Do you have any questions that I can answer for you? You could also do. You could also do like I don't know, probation work, corrections work. But since you were looking for something specific, I mean, does that matter too much? Okay. Well, yeah. If you have any other questions, you can call back. So, what did you think that I was? What do you think that I was doing?
It definitely didn't feel like you cared that much.
Yeah, not at all. Yeah, do you know, like, kind of, do you think you could say how my facial
I mean, you clearly weren't smiling when you were talking.
Not at all.
I could tell just like from your tone. Yeah. The fact, also just like the way you were talking, like your thoughts felt like they were very like spread out, like, and you just kept saying and then like you would say something, but like then there like wasn't really anything else to it.
Yeah. So I was kind of like, what I was going for was like kind of aggravated, disconnected, not really, just kind of done with the conversation, aggravated. Is that what you kind of felt?
I didn't really feel like you were aggravated. I just didn't feel like you were interested. Oh, you were just like, oh, well, that's what you want. Okay.
Well, I wasn't. Maybe I'm just bad at conveying it. So I think I'm going to go now. Mm-hmm. Okay? Mm-hmm. Now, after you left, I did tell the camera what I was going for. So if you want to do that, you can. Oh. You don't have to.
Thank you for calling Regent University Office of Admissions. This is Haley speaking. Our calls are recorded for quality assurance. How may I help you? Mm-hmm. Okay, awesome. So business. So what exactly has you interested in that? Mm-hmm, for sure. That would definitely set you up for that. So any sort of business. So you are looking to open your own business? What type of business are you looking to open? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. So have you worked like in the food business before? Is that what got you interested in that? Okay, well, awesome. Yeah, it definitely sounds like the bachelor's in business would be a great fit for you. I definitely think that you'd be able to achieve that goal of opening your own restaurant one day. So yeah, so is a bachelor's what you're actually aiming for? Or were you looking for something?
I felt super engaged. I felt like you actually super cared about what I was interested in. Because you asked why I wanted the degree, and then once I told you, you asked even more in depth, like what I was looking to do with my interest. At first, it did sound like you may have been a little like focused on something, but you did get really engaged and interested. I felt really engaged and connected, and you sounded excited. So, yeah,
Awesome.
was that what you were going for? I don't know.
No, yeah, no. I was definitely since you went for like the more like disengaged. I definitely went for kind of more professional, more
Okay.
what we were looking for.
Yeah,
kind of.
no, you definitely sounded like you were trying to do your job.
Mm-hmm. I tried to smile the entire conversation, so I think that helped.
No, you definitely. Yeah, I definitely heard it. I felt it. I don't know how to describe that. Yeah, no, I definitely noticed that. Okay, so we both had a chance to go. Were you kind of shocked by the outcome?
So I think what it is that like you when you explain like how like your body language can like affect your conversation, you're like, okay, yeah, I can understand that. But then when you actually are visibly seeing it,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure we hear it with our colleagues, like their calls and stuff, like, oh, that didn't sound like such a great call. Like,
Yeah.
But
for sure.
I feel like acting it out, it definitely like helped a little bit.
I can hear when someone's upset or whatever. But when you came out and were like, you definitely didn't sound like you were smiling. I was like, it was like weird. I was like, well, actually, yeah, I wasn't smiling, even though like I knew that would happen. I know it's super weird when it actually like someone tells you like you're not happy, and I can tell just by your voice you weren't smiling. It's like, oh, shoot. So yeah, it was pretty cool. Did you find this activity like helpful at all?
Yeah, I did. It felt good to like actually practice, and then
For
it
sure.
felt good to kind of be on the other end. Like I've definitely heard other people have conversations the way that you talk to me
Yeah.
when I was calling you. So like to actually hear that from my end and be
Mhm.
asking those questions, and that was kind of all I was getting back. I was just kind of like, oh.
Yeah. So it was cool to feel like you're on the other end of that. Like,
Yeah.
So it did it was kind of enlightening to like.
It was helpful.
Oh, so if
sure.
I'm aggravated, this is how the other person feels. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Awesome. Well, yeah. I mean, I think that's pretty much all we had. Did you have anything else that you found interesting about Tuesday?
No, I mean, like I feel like we pretty much covered the big points that stood out to us.
Mhm.
But more than anything, I just hope like our reenactment kind of made a better understanding for anyone who's watching.
Yeah, I agree. I thought the reenactment or activity kind of went well. It was definitely like refreshing because I do get calls from like different people, from call centers, and it's like, oh, you hate your life. But like when you answered the phone, it was very much like, oh, this person's actually engaged and interested.
Mm-hmm.
So it was cool to be on the other end and actually experience kind of a little bit of what our prospects experience. So yeah, this is kind of what we got out of it, and hope you guys got something out of this. And we will see you guys later.
Thanks.